in your hearing range. This is the start of the first bi-weekly poetry quiz. And the quiz is, if you parked your poem somewhere, and it's illegally parked, oh, this is getting worse. No, it's getting bad. I'm trying to set this up, but I'm losing myself as I go.
Hello. I have no idea how long this is going to take me. If Jack wants to cut me off, give me yeah, just tell me when I have about 3 minutes left or something. But I'll be short on the introductions, and we'll see how it goes. This first set is a series of a few poems that are they're part of a story about an individual's demise. Not a happy topic, but it won't be down for the whole set here. It's a person who finds himself homeless and crazy. He was a normal, healthy person, and found himself homeless and crazy. It sort of grew out of my experiences with some people close to me, my own feelings, and also a lot of ideas from someone who taught me a lot about mental illness. And, so I'll just start. This is about 4 poems, a couple of which I've read before. Born the day he was documented, and then again when they fed him the sugar, and so now there is no way to reclaim him from the craving ranks of the donut eaters, or to flush his code name from the computers. Born when he spilled like fuel for the dipping of the feather pen or the branding iron, the hot metal glow of the whittled bone symbol demanding its aftermath in smoke, like the cold drug dreams in white unfolding. This one's sort of about ups and downs. He, the mind, the purple sine wave, the storm-clad keeper of life and death, in the gray light cloaked in black hair locks. He so high, he walks head high, down these sidewalks unabashed, through streets of civil war, self-torn, where swords pierce his face, but he struts unharmed, with genetically engineered bulletproof skin and a newspaper force field under his arm. He makes it to his mirror, where he likes the way he dressed, but he now so depressed, his bedroom floor shatters under weight of his feet like glass. On a planet 20 times the mass, the red-stained orb of Jupiter, and gravity is a danger here, much more so than pollution. He racks his clever purple brain to try to get his feet unstuck, but chalk dust falls from the chalkboard, defying his attempts to firmly record the solution to the problem, the pressure bringing him down, keeping his eyes below these clouds, his brain from craning to poke through the sky, where infinite numbers of stars abuzz would circle his head like silver flies, in a place where reflection no longer resides on the surface of mirrors but floats in space, and vision is no still life but a collage of flowers and iron cages, crypts against the sunset of spiders and pillars for their silken strands to embrace, near the ground, near graves where no one is saved, where these desperate images bring him down like death, too low for the sight of his face in the mirror in this purple place. This next one is one that I've read a number of times before, but I sort of incorporated it into this series. So it's called Window for an Empty Room, and you can imagine it as the last day this person spent in his apartment before he became homeless, maybe. Blindly, he steps into the echo chamber. His memory slips. He clears his throat without regard. There is nothing to consume, only walls of white to meet his eyes, trying to match blank stares from the abyss. He wheels around, circling the room with arcing brows, and senses the stale taste of blood on the breath of mannequin angels, their pale, haloed heads, adorned with the merciless, faceless grin of time. A sequence of frames on the wall, flashed in stuttering increments, walking an infinite series of steps through mazes of floorboards and dollies duress to the window, with hands holding fast to the sill, through thick panes of wax paper, crows sitting still on branches of bare trees immune to the wind and the soles their fire-blue feathers have singed. He focuses only on similar forms. On black blades of grass sit praying mantis. Women with widow's peaks of fury face unknown neighbors in primitive headdress. Orange porcelain fragments descend from the sky in waves of clouds at twilight. Burn marks, the ghosts of cigarette ashes, charcoal-drawn indentations and smears mark the night. And the view is suddenly quiet. The onslaught subsides as the echoes meet silence. He is safe from the daylight, and again the room is bare, as his breath on the glass and the door disappear. Okay, this is, I guess, after he's on the street. These hands stretch upward and out from the low places, the winter sidewalk palette of sand and manure, with knees bent, withering will cementing the heavy brown feet to the cold pigeon pavement, where hunger shatters daydreams with humiliation, the thought of chasing birds away to gather up the breadcrumbs, with apologies to the white-haired women of eccentricity, whose sunflower seeds are stolen by the subway, its lukewarm breath retorting from below the metal grates, where the hip bones pin checkerboard imprints to the blue jeans, worn like a sallow adaptation of the physique, in the low places, panhandling from the curved river banks, and craning from the last smooth marble step at the bottom, ignoring the reflection from the streets of gold. With ears tuned perfect pitch to the pocket change and searching for the vulnerable eyes of mercy. Get a job, lowlife, huge hands, crazy. I could squeeze a week from a palm full of silver. I can no longer stand that empty-handed dream. The man in the top hat flipping the coin. When I stand, I always lose that game. He offers a plastic apple immune to the pick of the crow and the worm-like advances, a magazine clipping, Da Vinci's Last Supper, folding it neatly, he hands it to me. He has no idea what a coffee would mean to a desperate stranger orchestrating his demise, another cup of rage to prolong the slow, painstaking suicide. That's it for that topic. This next one is sort of about my family. It grew out of a discussion that I had with my sisters about what it meant to grow up in in a household with an Irish mother and an Irish and Italian father, sort of getting in touch with our culture. And here's no title. At home, we had shelter from liquor and potatoes resting like great round gods on every dinner's plate. Mother's 3 brothers were alcoholic, and we never spoke at the table but ate. Only ate. There were spaces to separate meat from a pile of vegetables. But those potatoes determined their own space. They seemed to float above their peers, and they were always seen in the same light, like priests. We never saw them in their underwear. The spuds would sit on the oven rack or the counter just as they did on the serving dish, always looking down on their fellow food and up at the shakers that stood on the table like statues, and no one ever looked when they moved. The only spices, salt and pepper, black and white, that could be understood and so be allowed to fall on the food, like bird seeds scattered never to bear fruit, unlike sisters denied any tips against motherhood, but still no talking at the table. Sometimes even now he forgets, looking up quickly, functional father, but he sees we have grown up and he goes back to scraping the fork on his teeth, while my grandmother, in a similar childhood setting, uses her knife to cut the plate through the meat. And when the dinner silence was over, the long, greasy gray strips of translucent steak fat would come back together again in a sandwich, and we stifled the urge to dash from the room as she clutched the lumpy white bread in her hand. But loud, We were like a real ethnic family for the few hours every month when she was there, in that house, in that kitchen with the pots and the pantry, while Father, thought-plagued and only half Irish, could not bring himself to part with the words he knew in his Italian heart we should hear, that both of my grandfathers had killed themselves drinking, but we were so young when they died, we never knew. So we were forced to rub souls with outsiders and learn on the street about the ways of the world.